Once, in a quiet village, there lived a man who was constantly troubled by one problem or another. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find peace or happiness in his life. His days were filled with frustration, and his nights were restless. One day, he heard news that a wise Zen master had arrived in the village. This master was known for helping people find clarity and solutions to life's challenges. Intrigued and hopeful, the man decided to visit the Zen master, hoping to find answers to his seemingly endless problems. When the man met the Zen master, he wasted no time and shared every worry that had been weighing on him. He spoke about his struggles at length, describing each issue in vivid detail. The Zen master listened patiently, not interrupting even once. When the man finally finished, the master smiled gently and said, "I will help you. But first, I need a small favor." The man, eager for a solution, readily agreed. "Tell me what to do," he said. The Zen master pointed to a group of camels nearby and explained, "A wealthy merchant in this village has gifted me 100 camels. Tonight, I need someone to look after them. Your task is simple. Make sure they all sit down before you go to sleep." Thinking it was an easy job, the man nodded and set off to take care of the camels. The Zen master retired to his tent for the night, leaving the man alone with the animals. As the evening progressed, the man began working on his task. He tried to make the camels sit, but to his surprise, it wasn't as easy as he had imagined. Each time he managed to get one camel to sit down, another would stand up. When he focused on making a second group settle, the first group would rise again. No matter how much he tried, the camels refused to sit down all at the same time. Hours passed, and the man grew increasingly frustrated. He tried coaxing them, using commands, and even shouting, but nothing worked. Some camels sat down on their own. Others obeyed after much effort, but there were always a few stubborn ones that wouldn't budge no matter what he did. And when some finally settled, others stood up again. It felt like a never-ending cycle. By the time dawn broke, the man was exhausted. He hadn't slept at all, and his frustration had turned to despair. The next morning, the Zen master emerged from his tent and approached the man. "Good morning," he greeted. "Did you get any rest last night?" The man shook his head and sighed. "No, I couldn't sleep at all," he admitted. "No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get all the camels to sit at the same time. Some sat down on their own. Others sat only after I worked hard to make them, but there were always a few that refused to sit. And when I finally got some to settle, others would stand up again. It was impossible to manage them all." The Zen master listened and then smiled knowingly. "It seems you've learned an important lesson," he said. The man looked confused. "A lesson? What do you mean?" he asked. The Zen master explained, "Your experience with the camels mirrors how problems in life work. Some problems will resolve themselves in their own time, just like the camels that sat down on their own. Others require effort and persistence. Much like the camels you had to coax into sitting. And then, there will always be a few problems that remain unsolved, no matter what you do, just like the camels that refuse to sit." He continued, "The key to peace is understanding that you can't control everything. Focus on the problems you can solve, let go of the ones you can't, and trust that some will resolve with time. If you try to control every problem in your life, you'll only exhaust yourself, just as you did last night." The man listened, his eyes widening as realization dawned. He had spent so much time and energy trying to solve every problem in his life that he had forgotten to simply live. The Zen master's words gave him a new perspective. Problems were a natural part of life, but they didn't have to consume him. The Zen master added, "Problems are inevitable, but they don't have to dictate your happiness." People who focus only on their problems often remain sad and disappointed. But those who learn to live happily despite their challenges find that life can be truly beautiful. The man left the Zen master feeling lighter and more at peace. He had finally understood that life wasn't about eliminating problems altogether, it was about learning to approach them with wisdom, patience, and acceptance. From that day forward, the man began to approach his life differently. When faced with a problem, he would ask himself, is this something I can solve? Should I let it go, or will it resolve on its own with time? This newfound perspective helped him find the peace and happiness he had been searching for all along. Problems are a part of life. Some will solve themselves, some require effort, and others need to be left to time. The secret to a fulfilling life lies in not letting these problems take over. Solve what you can, let go of what you can't, and trust time to handle the rest. Life becomes much more beautiful when you learn to live despite the challenges it presents.